Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes, and we haven't done one of these in a while. It's a lowish viable teams for the Jedi Knight Kestis Heroes Journey. The main idea with these series of videos is to beat the event in the range of the minimum for the characters. Can always be the lowest though. For this event, everyone is at Gear 12 with no Gear 12 plus pieces. I left all of those off, and no 6-dot mods. We're using only 5-dot mods. And in the case of mods will be very important here, but different than most events and other characters, because Cal, Seer, and Marin all function more effectively with slow mods, even no speed mods. This event also introduces 3 event abilities: dodge roll, parry, and reactive force push. We'll get more into those, but dodge roll is going to be a cleanse. That also offers a bonus turn, which will be very important for reducing cooldowns effectively. Parry is going to force counters and stun on those counters, and reactive force push is going to inflict staggers. There's also some win conditions here to be aware of, so you're going to need to check the enemy descriptions. Several have specific defeat requirements, like 1 character required to be stunned before you can take him out. Cal's going to be the most important character to get right, since he is the only one to be able to use all the event abilities, and we're going to be using him on every single tier. Some of the other ones, like especially Saw and Tarful, you're only going to use once, and it doesn't really matter too much about them. Overall though, this is an easy event where I only needed a second attempt on the final tier, and I think that was RNG based. Although I do think tier 4 can be problematic. I think I probably got a little bit lucky and stumbled into the correct answer when I played it, because that one did take a long time. We begin with mods. Here is a quick sheet for comparison, although we are going to look at this in depth. I didn't change these throughout the event, so we're not going to return to this information later in the video. Just the most critical thing that I want to emphasize is that Cal, Seer, and Marin all function better with low to no speed. And I want to emphasize that because I still see them incorrectly modded in my Grand Arena matches. Saw and Tarful though, they can be fast. We're going to go quickly through these, so pause on any character you want to look at in detail. I'll say a couple things for each character. With Cal here, we have a mix of health, defense, and tenacity. Some of that is just because we don't have a massive options of slow speed mods, so I'm just working with what I have, although the tenacity does help. With Sirjunda, health primaries, getting protection on the secondaries. Her first special that puts the protection up, that is based off of protection, so you do want that. You will see a good amount of speed on these, and that is just because of not a lot of options with slower mods with protection primaries. Even to this day, that is something I'm still working on. Marin focusing on that potency. One of the things that you're seeing with these mods that have no speed, I have all percent secondaries. Now at Gear 12, that's not doing a ton. It's very important at relics, and it's one of the big projects of my roster, is just to make sure that my fast mods and my high quality mods have as much percent secondaries as possible. Again, for this event, not a big deal, but something that I think is important. If you're going to spend the time to get these slow and no speed mods, at least spend the time getting the mods that are actually going to help you over the long term, instead of filling up your limited mod space with mods that you'd be better off selling or getting rid of. Saw, you see we start adding speed. He functions well with health primaries. In Tarful here, I have a defense set with defense primaries. You could probably do some other options though. Again, with Saw and Tarful, they're the least important characters in this event. You're probably going to be fine with whatever. Some of these tiers do take a while, so use the timestamps as you need. Some of these are also easy, so you're going to want to skip ahead. We'll put an information card up with each wave, and I'll give a little description. I'll front load that description though. We'll try and minimize any talking throughout. And with tier 1, this is an easy tier. Save the event ability for wave 2. It doesn't really do anything to help in wave 1, although you could use it for the bonus turn to get through some of the cooldowns. You're going to want to use the second special to get debuffs out to start. It lowers the evasion, it slows them down, and it lets the basic be a little bit more effective. Then use the basic to take these guys out. Heal as needed. You're going to see me be a little conservative here. I think I could have been a lot more aggressive with using the basic. You'd probably want to go for Scout Trooper a little bit more often. You could dispel some of the debuffs from Scout Trooper, but it's not something I focused too much on as we went through this. You can't really do this wrong. With Wave 2, what's critical here is using the event ability dodge roll because it cleanses and gives a bonus turn. Because Second Sister, as she gains stacks of Purge, she can land a stun and she does massive damage. So utilizing that dodge is how we're going to mitigate that, plus cycle through some of our cooldowns so that we can utilize our heals and utilize the second special, which lands debuffs including tenacity down, which is going to make it easier for the basic to land defense down so that we can actually do some effective damage on Second Sister, because Cal's not really a damage dealer. But overall, this is a very easy wave and not the last time that we're going to be facing Second Sister. Tier 2 is another very easy tier. You can sleepwalk through this one. I don't even play it all that optimally and there's no issues. What we have here is a bounty hunter captain at the center. He cannot be taken out until the side characters are taken out. So focus down on them first. Tarful's first special lands a stun. What I should do and don't do is target him and stun him to start, but I don't do that. Then use Saw's AoE to blind everybody. This is going to come in handy when they take their turns. And then use the event ability with Cal, use quick parry in order to counter. It reduces damage from the enemies and it also has an unresistible stun. Then just focus down on the side characters. And Tarful, I don't even use the second special on this wave. It's not really relevant here. It's not an attack ability, so it's really more going to slow things down than help. With Wave 2, see we have 4 different types of characters. You're going to want to manage Scout most importantly because he has the most relevant debuffs that we're going to want to manage. We start the wave off with Cal and a quick parry. Then we can rely on stuns, use Saw blinds, and we're going to use a kill order of eliminating Scout, then Purge Trooper, then the Captain, then the Stormtrooper. With Wave 3, we've got Ninth Sister. Open with quick parry again for the stuns and the control. Whole focus is to use parry as much as possible to limit the attacks and the damage, and the counters are going to do the majority of the work here. Second special to debuff and slow down Ninth Sister. Heal is needed, and from there, this is a very straightforward battle. Tier 3 is still easy, but things are going to start getting a little bit tricky here because we're going to start layering together the event abilities. With Wave 1, Cleanse is critical, so use the event ability Dodge Roll and Cal's first special to manage the debuffs, because otherwise Daze is going to cancel out Quick Parry. When you're not dazed, then Parry. Parry's going to do a lot of the work with the counters and the stuns. Use the dodge ability frequently because it gives a bonus turn that's going to effectively help decrease cooldowns. So you'll see me figure this out in the moment as we get my timing better, and I use dodge a lot more freely so that I can be using parry a lot more freely. Kill order here is going to be Scout, then Imperial Probe Droid Storm, and then the K-Series Droid. Partly that is because Scout is going to be the most annoying and things get easier when he's gone, and the rest is more because that who happens to be vulnerable in that sequencing. The K-Droid is just too tough to take out any earlier. Here at the end, you see me just focusing more on parry and basics. I'm less concerned about recovery or landing debuffs. I just want to get through this guy. With Wave 2, we have this Tomb Guardian, who is actually pretty similar to that KX droid we just faced. The critical thing with him is he cannot be taken out unless he's stunned. It's going to take me a minute to check that condition and understand what's going on here, and you're going to see me miss some win opportunities. So just when you play this, make sure you're a little bit more aware of that than I was in the moment. But what you do see is I am using the combination of dodge and parry a lot more effectively than I did during the first wave. And right there, instead of taking him out, I go for a heal when I should have just basicked. And I do it again. With the final wave, we have the return of Second Sister. This is a similar approach to the first tier, but now we have access to parry and can counter and stun. So this is going to be a lot easier. Just remember to use dodge to cleanse the purge. Otherwise, you can get stunned or face bigger attacks. With this tier, I get a little bit lucky. I kind of stumble into the right answer without really understanding the mechanics in the moment. I did beat it on my first attempt, but pay attention to how I'm going to describe things rather than the footage, because there's definitely a way I could have done this more effectively and optimally. The key thing to understand here is mods and how persistence works. From the unique ability, I'm persistent. So for each special ability used by each other character, Cal is going to gain a stack of persistence. If an opponent takes the first turn in an encounter, Cal gains 15 stacks of persistence. And what those stacks of persistence do is at 10 plus, he's going to gain foresight. That's going to help his survivability. But this is the key part. At 20 plus stacks, he's going to gain defense up and protection up. That is going to keep him alive. And what you're going to want to do is let the zombies get you up to 20 stacks, and then you want to unleash and start taking them out. Because at 30 stacks, you reset the persistence and you have to accumulate them all over again. And that's not exactly how I'm going to play things, but we are going to talk about what's working and when it's working. I could have played this a lot more quickly had I had that understanding in the moment. So they open with those stacks. I'm going to start with 15 stacks of persistence. We climb up to 19. This event ability, Reactive Force Push, is going to inflict stagger whenever I'm attacked. So we see that go around. We're going to put out some debuffs. I don't know if I needed to do that then, but here we're waiting to get to the 20 stacks. At 19, that's not quite enough. I probably should have healed there. So now we can heal. We're at the 20 stacks. Now we are much more resilient. You can see that we're always getting protection up and defense up. This is when you're going to want to take out the side characters. Get it down to a lower amount, because what you don't want to do is get to the 30 stack. So I'm focusing on Marin here. That is probably a mistake. You can attack Marin sooner, but as soon as you get to the 20 stacks, take out the side characters. We're going to see me get reset now. So now I'm reset. I'm putting out debuffs. We got buff immunity and ability block on everyone because of the reset. But that's also beneficial, particularly the ability block, because what it's doing is making sure the cooldowns are all reset so that when they start using their specials again, it all happens in mass. So now we see them using those specials, adding the stacks of persistence. But in the moment, I'm not really truly understanding that. So they're quickly getting me up to 10, and once we hit 10, we're going to start gaining foresight. So now we have foresight. That's going to help keep me alive and make it easier for me to get to the 20 stacks. Now they're using specials again. And we want them to stay alive so that they can use their specials. One thing that I could be doing is spreading my attacks around to take down the protection so that I can take advantage when I hit the 20 plus stacks. And in a moment, we're going to hit 20 plus, and that's going to be another opportunity to start whittling down everybody here. So now we have the defense up and the protection up where they're not inflicting a bunch of damage. So I think the better choice here, like healing's not terrible, but I should be trying to knock out the zombies right now. Because now we're approaching a point where we're about to lose the defense up and the protection up. And that's why it's beneficial to have one or two of the zombies around. So once you're down to like one or two, it's not a big deal now that I'm at 29 stacks and we're about to lose it. It's about to get reset. Like here it gets reset, the ability block happens. But now there's a big benefit to keeping the zombies alive. Now this, I definitely want to heal, but taking out the zombie here is a mistake. I shouldn't be even interested in the zombie. I should be allowing myself to gain stacks of persistence to stay alive again. You can see now I'm taking a lot of damage and I'm going after a zombie again. Mistake. So we're healing. We're at 7 stacks. And what you're going to see is a big change once we hit the 20 stacks. Really the 10 stacks once we gain foresight again. So now we're at 10, we have foresight. And again, I'm hitting the zombie, and I think that is a mistake. Because really, what is nice about the reactive force push is once you hit the 20 stacks, you can make sure they're not using specials. Using stagger or hitting the stagger before you hit 20 stacks, that is inefficient. Now we're getting close to hitting 20 stacks again. And now we have defense up and protection up. Now I'm focusing down on Marin. We're just doing basics. So now this is how to do it correctly. Once you get the protection up, this is Marin time. But it's also a situation where I've got 1 zombie and Marin so that we're not losing the protection up too quickly like we were doing a little bit earlier. Now Malicos, similar ideas here. We're starting off with the persistence because Malicos goes first. Malicos is going to be able to counter. So be careful about your attacks. Attack him when you're healthy because you expect him to counter. And we're gaining foresight because we have those 15 stacks. We're inflicting stagger. Now we're hitting them. Healing as needed. But I think I could be a little bit more aggressive here. The evasion up is helping a lot though. And with the final tier, Marin is now here. The key point, like check the character on Malicos, he cannot be defeated unless he has no turn meter. And so the stagger is going to be important here to eliminate turn meter. But you can attack him and weaken him. Marin does her attack, almost takes her out, and then when he loses turn meter, he's gone. With tier 5, this is the culmination of everything where the 3 event abilities all come together. This took me 2 attempts. I think there's a little RNG component which comes down to turn order and cooldowns. First tier is pretty easy. The kill order would be Purge, Stormed, and the KX droid. Seer's protection up with the first special to minimize damage. And what you're going to see here with her determined assault saber throw is the importance for why she should be slow, because this starts with a cooldown of 10. The slower she is, the cooldown is reduced when the opponent takes turns. and that will get to a point eventually where she can go. And she does massive damage with that ability. Like a Gear 11 Sirjunda beats Relic characters with that saber throw. So with the massive amounts of protection up you're seeing on some of these troopers, that determined assault ability is pretty important to getting through it. As you see, we do these massive throws, we knock out characters in one-shots. Like, that's a pretty powerful ability for even 3-star Sirjundas. With Wave 2, this is another second sister tier. We're seeing her for the 3rd time. This is even easier because now we have all the event abilities, and we have Sirjunda here, which we didn't the first 2 times. So the big thing is knowing when to use dodge with the purge. And the more important thing with this tier is to make sure you are resetting cooldowns as you go into Wave 3. Otherwise, you could have some issues, and I think that's part of the reason why I lost my first attempt. And I think the other reason I win this time is here I get protection up with my first turn. That allows me to absorb these hits. We also get damage immunity on Kestis, and I have the cooldown set so I can do parry, land a stun, and then the rest of this is about managing Vader. We do dodge roll to get the bonus turn, hit the cooldowns. We hit the reactive force push to inflict stagger. Heal up Sirjunda a little bit. We get protection up back on the board, which also gives us damage immunity. Now we're absorbing those hits. And then the event ends. Overall, I think this is a great event. I think it's fun. I think it has a nice puzzle to it, and it's more of what I would like to see from CG. The thing that I've been saying is I want them to raise the floor with the puzzles and the difficulty, but not imposing an artificial ceiling with relic levels to qualify for events like we're going to see with this Jar Jar event. But we have been very behind on these lowish viable team videos. I'm going to make a little commitment to knock several of these out, maybe one every week or 2 weeks. Start getting some of the more recent and major events that I think is going to be a little bit more relevant to some of the player base out first, and then get into some of the older events that I think are tricky. We've got footage on everything. This is just a video series that I haven't been able to put the same amount of time towards. But thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.